What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined as always by my dad, Sean. And today, reactions to the classics. We got another top 10 list, this time with one of the most acclaimed and best groups from the 60s and 70s, the Kinks, man. So, really looking forward to this top 10 list. This comes courtesy of our patron, Rich. So, Rich, always appreciate the support, man. And I'm definitely looking forward to this one. No, I think 4 or 5 of these, but the others I have no idea on. And the Kinks was such a big discography. This one's going to be fun to do. Before we jump into the quick facts and the tracks itself, if you could give us a big thumbs up, that would help us out. And you can check out all of our social media down in the comments below. Got a great Facebook group. You can also check out our podcast, drops every Friday. And hit that big red subscribe button if you haven't already, man. And due to copyright, we're just going to take the music out on the YouTube video, but we'll have another link in the description below if you want to hear the music along with us, man. Whatever floats your boat. But I guess all that to say, we'll get into some of these theory on why Rich came up with this list, how he did.
Yeah, Rich said, I don't think I ever heard a bad Kinks song, so very hard to pick the best ones. They're all fantastic. Just a little teaser here. He says, my number one will be called into question, but I like the spirit and sentiment of the tune. So I'll give a little background on the Kinks. 5 top 10 singles in the U.S. is all. 9 of their albums charted in the top 40. UK much more successful. 17 top 20 singles, 5 top 10 albums. They've sold over 50 million records worldwide, as is the case in 60s and 70s groups and artists. They sell a lot of albums because that was how the medium was delivered at the time. Among numerous honors, they did receive the Novello Award for Outstanding Service to British Music. In 1990, they were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and in 2005 in the UK Music Hall of Fame. Rolling Stones ranked them as the 65th best artist of all time. And some of the artists that were influenced by the Kinks include the Ramones, the Clash, the Jam, and then also Van Halen, Oasis, who we recently did a review on, Blur, and Pulp. Trey, there's a reason why the Kinks did not really reach the popularity they should have in America, and it goes back to touring.
That's right.
That was so important because not only were you touring, but you're appearing on TV shows in the mid-'60s and late '60s, and that's how the world saw you. So following a mid-year tour of the U.S., the American Federation of Musicians refused permits for the group to appear in concerts in America for the next 4 years. This is in the mid-'60s, effectively cutting off the Kinks from the main market for rock music at the height of the British invasion. Although neither the Kinks nor the Union revealed a specific reason for the ban, it was attributed widely to some rowdy onstage behavior. But there's also a little hint here that it was there was an incident when they were taping Dick Clark's TV show Where the Action Is in 1965. Ray recalls in his autobiography, some guy who said he worked for the TV company walked up and accused us of being late. Then he started making anti-British comments, things like, just because the Beatles did it, every mop-top, spotty-faced, limey juvenile thinks he can come over here and make a career for himself. Subsequently, a punch was thrown, and they were banned. So what a tragedy, though, because this group is fantastic. You know, we're from the States, and they are not really...
They're not talked about a ton. No.
Not much, no.
No, definitely. We've reviewed Face to Face here on the channel.
So good.
And I've listened to some of their early, I think their first 2 or 3 records. I haven't dove into their classic period yet, though. So that's something we're looking forward to. And I'm sure some of those tunes are going to appear on here. But we're going to start number 10, y'all. Number 10, we're actually going with a song from the 80s, a little later period.
Come Dancing off State of Confusion, 1983. And I was telling you, really, before we started this journey on reactions to the classics, this is really the only Kinks song I knew. I mean, I'd heard some of the other ones, but, you know, in commercials or whatever. This is the only one I knew, and I didn't really like it then. Yeah. So I kind of thought of the Kinks as like, I actually like it way more now. But written by Ray, it was inspired by his memories of his older sister, Renee, who died of a heart attack while dancing at a dance hall. She had some underlying condition, but she died at age 32. And that day, she had come home and she bought him a guitar. And she went dancing, and then she ended up dying. But when it was released in the UK initially, it failed to chart. And then Arista Records founder Clive Davis, the famous Clive Davis, didn't want to release it in the US due to the English subject matter of dance halls, because it's not really something we have here in America. It did get a US release, and it went all the way to number 6, which is crazy. It tied for the highest charting single of the Kinks ever, tied with "Tired of Waiting for You."
Wow. So yeah.
Mainly because of the video, and that's how I knew it from the MTV video. So then they re-released it in Britain, and it went to number 12.
Alrighty, man. Well, good little primer there. We're going to have that kind of for every song here, and there's actually a lot to say. Sometimes there's not on some of these groups, but for the Kinks there is. So, as always, we're going to have the lyrics pulled up, everybody. Make a comment here or there, but really just save it for the end, just, since you might not be watching it with the music. So, let's get started. Come dancing. Thanks again, Rich. Let's get rocking. Very interesting kind of sound. Definitely a tune that kind of gets stuck in your head.
Yeah, and when this was released in '83, I hadn't turned 12 yet. So an 11-year-old Sean Trey, this wasn't really his kind of music, but now at 48, this is a fantastic tune. I thought in the lyrics towards the end it was interesting. He got to, I guess, kind of rewrite the narrative. My sister's married and she lives on an estate. Her daughters go out now. It's her turn to wait. She knows they get away with things she never could, but I asked her, I wonder if she would. But if I asked her, I wonder if she would. Just being able to rewrite, obviously this
rewrite
didn't
history,
get to happen, so he gets to write a happy ending. I wonder how that felt to sing at the time.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed Dave's lead guitar here.
I
There
did
are
too.
a couple different parts where a little heavier, a little different effects, and then the horn section at the end to outro it. Pretty cool. I hadn't really heard much of the Kinks really in the 80s. You just kind of know some of their songs from the prime period, so that's why I like doing these. You kind of get a different flavor for all the different eras, man. So Come Dancing, starting off the list, number 10. Now we're going to go to number 9, another song I haven't heard of, but I'm looking forward to it. From 1979, we got the song Low Budget from the record of the same name, man. So it was written, produced, and sung by Ray. Describes a man giving up his expensive taste in order to save money. Ain't that the truth, man?
You got that right.
Like many of the tracks on Low Budget, it applies to the economic troubles occurring during the time the album was released. You had strikes in Great Britain going on. It also refers to some of Ray's personal concerns. In the song, he mocks his own fear of not having money. And interestingly enough, when asked about which guitar performance he was most proud of, guitarist Dave Davies noted Low Budget, as well as You Really Got Me, as his favorite. So
yeah, and I'll jump in here just for a quick second, Trey, and say just to everybody, Ray and Dave Davies, when we did face-to-face review, a lot of people said it's Davis, not Davies. I did a lot of digging into that. It can be either or. I've always known him as Davies.
Heard everybody call him Davies too.
Yeah, so I mean, if it's Davis, we're still going to refer to as Davies just because that's the way it's referred to, at least where we are. So either way is right, but I'll just go ahead and nip that in the bud. So let's listen to a little Low Budget.
Low Budget coming in at number 9. I enjoyed definitely the hard. This has a late 70s hard rock edge to it, which was coming a little more in vogue, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
So cool to kind of see them experiment. Definitely a huge contrast to Come Dancing and sound.
Yeah, and only 4 years apart.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of cheeky kind of
the lyrics
humorous
are great, man.
lines, which Ray, one of the better lyricists I think that we've had in rock music. I like the I'm just a cut price person in a low budget land. Excuse my shoes, they don't quite fit. They were special offer and they hurt me a bit. Even my trousers are giving me pain. They were reduced in a sale, so I shouldn't complain. They squeeze me so tight, so I can't take no more. They're size 28, but I take 34.
Oh my goodness,
this guy's frugal, man.
This guy's just a little frugal, just a little. Yeah, it just sticks in your head. And there's a lot going on in this song, arrangement-wise, backing vocals. It's really nice, man.
You had those keyboards, which Ray also plays in the background, which I thought added some texture. And that lead guitar by Dave, I can see why he likes it so much. Heavy, able to let loose a little bit. I definitely like this a lot more than Come Dancing. Just personally, just kind of the sound I gravitate to.
Yeah, no, I like it better as well. But.
So number 9, man, Low Budget, and we're gonna keep this train rocking, and we're gonna throw it back now to A Well-Respected Man, which was a single from '66.
Yeah, it was a single. It wasn't on an album in the UK, but it was released on the Kingdom in the US. So as we do, Trey, with the Beatles,
That's right.
They're a UK act, so we're gonna go with the UK UK albums. Obviously, these things get thrown on US albums, but it was officially a single. It went to 13 in the US, written by Ray. It's one of 4 Kinks songs included on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's list of the 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. So when you think about that, we're talking about they didn't get their due, but they have 4 of the 500 songs on this list.
And one of them will be coming up next as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I won't give away what the other 3 are right now, but Ray composed a song about a negative experience he had with the upper class guests at a luxury resort where he was staying in 1965. He crafted the song to mock what he perceived as their condescension and self-satisfaction. That was 65, Trey. That still goes on in 2020. So I'm looking forward to hearing what he does with this one.
All right, let's get rocking. Number 8, A Well-Respected Man. Man, that definitely harkened back kind of to that face-to-face era that we did. So what'd you think of it?
I liked it. I think it went quick, huh?
No, it did.
244 verses, and it just had basically the drive in it was just the drum. So I think this is one that take longer for it to grow on me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good.
But
it's obviously incredibly well thought of, as we referenced.
Oh yeah, and a lot of packed, like you mentioned, a lot of stuff going on in the song. Just describing this guy in only 2 minutes 40 seconds. The words are coming at you fast and heavy, and Ray does a good job always packing in a bunch of details about the story.
He does a good point of painting a picture in most of his songs.
Really describing kind of this guy and just what he really thinks about himself, man. Thinks that he's better than the rest, and his own sweat smells the best. He hopes to grab his father's loot. Man, he's kind of seems to be a little cunning, conniving out here. I enjoyed this one. I like. We went from 80s to 70s, then we went to that early or mid 60s rather. So it's always cool to get the different eras there. And now we're going to the first song I know on here, one of their more famous tunes of all time. We got Lola, which I know has quite a story behind it.
I got a lot on this one, guys, so buckle in. It's obviously from the album Lola versus Power Man and the Money Ground Part 1. I wonder how long it took him to sell the record company on that kind of a title in 1970, written by Ray. 422 on the Rolling Stones Top 500 Greatest Songs of All Time, went to 2 in the UK, 9 in the US. This song, along with the previous song, A Well-Respected Man, and Waterloo Sunset, and You Really Got Me. Those are the 4 songs on the 500 songs that shaped rock and roll music. Basically, it's a song about a transvestite, right? And that caused a lot of controversy at the time. Lola, who walked like a woman but talked like a man. There's like these different stories of what it's really about, even amongst the Kinks.
Yeah.
Ray claims it was inspired by a true encounter experienced by the band's manager. Drummer Mick Avery, however, said that it was inspired by him frequenting transvestite bars in West London. He said they used to know a guy who used to hound the group a bit, and he'd invite him to those places, and he would go to them. So, despite claims the song was written about a supposed date between Ray and Candy Darling, Ray claimed it was false. The two went out to dinner, and he knew the whole time that she was a transvestite. So
there you go.
The success of the single was huge because it allowed them to negotiate a deal with the RCA where they could construct their own London studio and assume more control over their career.
It's crazy how just one song can just change everything.
Yeah, and we see that all the time, right? Dave said that if Lola had been a failure, the band would have gone on making records for another year or so and then drifted apart. Now, a couple controversies. Some radio stations faded out the end of it before it was revealed what Lola really was, before the implications of her biological sex. And then the BBC, we're going to get into this in another song. We come across the BBC ban and stuff, Trey, right and left at this time. Ask the Beatles how this worked out for them. Banned the track for a different reason. The original song recorded in stereo had the words Coca-Cola in its lyrics. But the BBC had a policy against product placement. So Ray is over in New York. He's forced to make a 6,000-mile round-trip flight from New York to London and back, interrupting the band's American tour to change those words to the generic Cherry Cola for the single release. And I don't remember which song, whether I pulled
we got the
single.
Coca-Cola one.
I thought we did. I thought we pulled the album. I always try to pull the album versions because usually they're more complete. But, nowadays, we could just do that electronically that quick. But can you imagine?
That's tough, man. Just for 2 words.
How ticked would you be if you freaking had to go do this, man? And just imagine that. Stop the tour, get on a plane, fly, go in the studio, get back in the cab, go back, fly back. Crazy stuff, man. But the BBC were really famous for doing that back in the day. So I know, guys, that's a big build-up, but this is arguably their most famous song. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to give you guys the lowdown.
No, lots of cool info on that, man. So number 7, Lola. I mean, I know we were both already familiar with the tune, but, man, it's so darn catchy.
Oh, it's just a fantastic tune. And I can just imagine, when you're following along with the lyrics that
especially
people were about
in 70,
to freak out.
man.
Yeah, I was like, it's so good, though, man. It's so different than what you would expect.
We've already seen just through these first 4 songs kind of the humor and cheekiness that Ray constantly employs here. I enjoy, too, kind of the differentiation. The verses were kind of a little slower with, just Ray, obviously, on lead vocals. Then we get the chorus. Great use of backing vocals. Gives it almost like a anthemic, chant like Lola, which is pretty cool. I like the fact that she picked him up and sat him on her knee. She said, "Little boy, won't you come home?"
There's so many funny things.
He mentions he's not the most passionate guy. They keep going. Girls will be boys and boys will be girls. It's a mixed up, muddled up, shook up world. So he's already kind of throwing a hint out.
Yeah, he's throwing a hint
of what the end's gonna be. And then at the end, he says, "I never kissed a woman before." Lola smiled and took me by the hand. She said, "Little boy, gonna make you a man." Then, we go back to the motif. "Well, I'm not the world's most masculine guy, but I know what I am, and I'm glad I'm a man." And so is Lola.
And then they just go into the Lola.
Wonderful tune, man.
Yeah, great tune.
I can see why it's so popular. And even if you never checked out Weird Al's parody of it with Yoda, that's another fantastic one.
Yeah, I'm sure one of our valuable members of our community, Evan David, is probably watching that going, "It's Yoda, man." So that's going to bring us straight to a song that I wanted to cue this up when I was doing this research and listen to it, because surely I know this song.
I'm thinking we did it on a live stream
maybe we did
once.
But I mean, surely I would know the song. But number 6 is Waterloo Sunset off the Something Else album in 1967. Written and composed by Ray. Number 2 in the UK, failed to chart in the US, but it's number 42 on the Rolling Stones 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. And basically the lyrics describe a solitary narrator watching or imagining 2 lovers passing over a bridge, with the observer reflecting on the couple at Waterloo Station. Ray in 2008 said, "It was a fantasy about my sister going off with her boyfriend to a new world, and they were going to immigrate and go to another country." Despite its complex arrangement, the sessions only took 10 hours to record this, which is
not bad.
Pretty quick, as we know from complicated songs that we've studied. Also on the production, first one solely done by Ray, and maybe that's why it didn't take as long, because he knew what he wanted, so he could just go ahead and get to it.
Just create it. UK, a lot of people think this is Ray's best work. People love the music and the lyrical subject. Critics have called it the most beautiful song in the English language. Even Pete Townsend of The Who has called it divine and a masterpiece.
That's why I'm like, I surely know this song, but I don't think I do. And maybe we listen to it on a live stream, but I mean, I don't.
Let's get rocking, man. I'm looking forward. I'll be curious once we get rocking with it if it kind of strikes a bell. But even if it doesn't, we got something to look forward to, man. So Waterloo Sunset, let's get it. Wow, what a beautiful tune. As we started listening, I kind of recognized the melody, but it's not like I really remembered the song per se.
Me neither, man.
But man, what a wonderful, wonderful track. Reminded me a little bit, almost like a sequel to Sunny Afternoon, just on some of the way that Ray was delivering his lyrics. A little bit. I especially like the ending line of the chorus. Waterloo Sunset's fine, just very softly delivered, but just kind of. Just angelic and beautiful, man, and the story it's telling was great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to add. It's a fantastic, beautiful, as they say. The word beautiful is not cliche in this one. It's fantastic.
And I like how it just transitions through the song, talking about Terry and Julie, and I think really hits the head that if you got your love and the person you don't, that means the world to you. It doesn't matter what's going around. They don't need friends as long as they gaze on Waterloo Sunset. They are in paradise. Love that line, man.
Yeah, and I see that there's a cover by Def Leppard that I'm going to have to go check out, because I love Def Leppard. If you're watching this video and love the Kinks, you might not love Def Leppard, but I think Ray did a really good job here on writing this, because it's different than the other stuff in the fact that it's not lyrically dense. There's not a ton of lyrics, but it's written in such a beautiful way. Everything just comes together perfectly.
No,
the
you're
instrumentation and the lyrics. Sometimes less is more depending on what you're saying and how you're saying. I think this is a perfect example of that.
Absolutely, man. And now we're gonna keep on rocking. Now we're in the top 5. It's been a great list so far. It's been a quick list, man. We're gonna go now to All Day and All of the Night from 1964.
Yeah, it was a single. You can find it on the greatest hits.
A single went to number 2 in the UK, so another high charting one. 7 in the US. Was released on the American album Kinks Size. So they really kind of stretched out the wordplay on Kinks.
Yeah, they did. They did what they could do, huh?
Dave claimed that the song was where he found his voice, saying, "I like the guitar sound on All Day and All of the Night," the second single that the Kinks had. So that's kind of cool. And there's been some similarities between the song and the Doors song Hello, I Love You from 1968. Ray said on the topic, "My publisher wanted to sue. I was unwilling to do that. I think they cut a deal somewhere, but I don't know the details. So I'll be curious when I hear, because I know Hello, I Love You." So
yeah, we've done the entire Doors discography that's up on the channel, and Dave wasn't so understanding.
No, he said that one is the most irritating of all of them. I did a show where I played All Day and All of the Night and stuck in a piece of Hello, I Love You. There was some response, there were a few smiles, but I've never understood why nobody has ever said anything about it. You can't say anything about the Doors. You're not allowed to.
Well, in the liner notes of the Doors box set, Robbie Krieger has denied allegations that the song's musical structure was stolen from Ray. Instead, he said the song's vibe was taken from Cream's song Sunshine of Your Love. So that's kind of weird, right? Because it's like, I didn't steal it from you, I stole it from them. But whatever, man.
Else,
According to the Doors biography, no one here gets out alive. Courts in the UK determined in favor of Ray, or I guess his record company in this case, and any royalties for the song are paid to him. So
there we go.
There you go. It's a very short song.
I was about to say only 2 minutes 22 seconds, which is what you would expect for, I guess, a song from this time period.
Yeah, exactly.
So looking forward to it. Love the early Kinks sound, and this is number 5. Number 4 also an early Kinks hit. So get ready for that. All Day and All of the Night, man. Definitely a this early Kinks stuff really does have a punkish type of quality.
It really does,
to
man.
it. Some proto-punk. I mean, this came out in 64. Very, very heavy, man, and I can see why Dave enjoyed his enjoyed the song so much. We had that little mini guitar solo, very unrestrained and raw sounding. Which I enjoyed quite a bit, man. Definitely, it's cool to see this 64 compared to some of the other stuff. They really have experimented with a ton of genres through the years.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't have a lot else to say about it. It's a fantastic song, and I do know this song. I think it's been in movies and stuff. Like, I don't.
It sounded vaguely
just like
remember,
the
but
hook of it.
Yeah.
So that's us. I think I know a little bit. So maybe I knew a few more of these songs than I thought.
And I kind of like the way Ray puts it. Like, I want to be with you all the time, all day and all the night. Just kind of a unique way to
nice phrasing, even in 64.
Yeah, exactly. And then now we're gonna
go to a really famous.
We're gonna go to another song that really it's been cited as one of the first punk songs in and of itself.
Yeah, You Really Got Me is number 4. It was a single. It's on the greatest hits from 1964. Ray wrote it. 1 in UK.
There we go.
7 in the US and 82 on the Rolling Stones 500 greatest songs of all time. Was built around the power chords that you talked about, Trey. Heavily influenced later rock musicians, specifically in heavy metal and punk. Built around a guitar riff played by Dave that I'm going to explain in a minute. The song's lyrics were described by Dave as a love song for street kids. I do got to say that it's odd to me, but Van Halen included this on their 1978 self-titled album. It was their first single. An odd choice.
My favorite, that and Eruption, my favorite songs
on that album. I agree. It only went to 36 in the U.S., but Ray said he was actually inspired by this song when he was playing in a different band in his college days, the Dave Hunt band. He saw the girl on the dance floor. When he was done singing, he went to find her, and he couldn't find her. She was gone, so You Really Got
Poor
Me.
Dave.
And then Ray, when he played it first for Dave, he wanted to be more laid back. Dave said, no, man, I'm going to throw some heavier guitar riff in there. But here's where it's very important in the history of the Kinks, because it was recorded by them at least twice in the summer of 64. The demo was in a bluesy style, while a full studio version recorded in June was slower and less emphatic than the final single. And they talked about it later. It said Shel Talmy, the producer, had, according to the Davis brothers, covered it in reverb, all but burying the lead guitar. So they didn't like that very much. They wanted to re-record it, but the record company Pi said, nope, your first two singles didn't do anything. We're not going to pay for it. Ray says, you know what then? I'm not going to promote or play anything until you do.
Ray's a strong-willed man.
Ray's a strong-willed man. Their manager, Larry Page, said, we're not going to release this single because they still had a little control over that. So Pi says, okay then, I guess we're just not going to do anything. So the band's management steps in, pays for them to re-record it, and obviously you saw it went to number one in the UK. But Ray's adamant attitude on behalf of the career-making song effectively established him as the leader and chief songwriter of the Kinks. He later said, I was floundering around trying to find an identity. It was in 1964 I managed to do that, to be able to justify myself and say, I exist, I'm here. I was literally born when that song hit.
Ooh, well, there we go, man. Great primer on this lovely song. Again, another short and sweet tune, just a hair over 2 minutes. So
yeah, and I think that story just shows you, like, we come across these stories so much where bands could have went one way or the other, and it's like, fight for what you believe in, man, because
it's
a good life lesson, man. That one little decision could change the fulcrum of your life, man.
That is like, what if this hadn't have gone over? Would Dave have been the leading force
or would have they just died out?
Very interesting, kind of unanswerable question, but fun to think about. And we got number 4, You Really Got Me. Let's get it, man. I know we were both familiar with the tune, but it's fun to hear it again. So much energy from these guys that were obviously hungry and knew, and we're just going to play some rock and roll, man. Yeah,
and I think it's important to point out on this song, you mentioned it during the song, the guitar is just fantastic. Just, hearing this song in 1964, I think a lot of bands that were in the, quote, British invasion that really get over in the mid to late 60s are kind of lumped in with the Beatles, and the Beatles had all this great influence on them. We know this because we know a lot about the Beatles. They had great influence on almost everything and almost every genre that exists today, but I'm sure they influenced the Kinks some, but remember that the Kinks are over here parallel with, they're existing at the same time, putting this stuff out. So that's a reason why it really is a shame that they never really got elevated in America like they should have.
This is harder hitting than any song the Beatles did up to this point.
Oh, for sure.
Too. So I think having that differentiation there was something that helped them, stand out as being, okay, they're not trying to just be the little pretty boys coming in here, with those great harmonies type of thing. But really love it. As you go through, you realize how I don't know if Dave's a underrated guitarist in a sense, but he's got so many iconic riffs,
especially at this time.
Yeah, and stuff. That's been one thing that's been jumping out to me on the list, on top of just Ray's great lyricism. So good pick there for number 4. All right, man, we are up to number 3 now, Celluloid Heroes. We're going to take this to 72 on the record, Everybody's in Showbiz, written by Ray, second single off the album, but it failed to chart.
It did.
And the song names several famous actors of 20th century film. I know Rich is a big film guy.
Yeah.
We're both... I'd say we're increasing our film knowledge by a week, man. It also mentions Hollywood Boulevard, Hollywood Walk of Fame, kind of neat. So that is just something to kind of keep an ear out for.
Yeah, and there's shout-outs to Greta Garbo, Rudolph Valentino, Bela Lugosi, Betty Davis, Marilyn Monroe, George Sanders, and Mickey Rooney. So true celluloid heroes in Ray's mind, I guess.
This is definitely the longest song on this list, a little over 6 minutes. So I'm curious to see what we got and what they do with it, man. So number 3. Celluloid Heroes. Let's get it. What a journey of a song.
What a great song, man. Wow. Just a fantastic song. Mick Avery's drumming low-key low-key hero on this song. It's not there all the time, but it's great.
And organ was a little subtle in there
Yeah, it
too,
was.
with the acoustic guitar mixed in. Very light, soft song at certain points, and you just are just sucked in. Ray's got one of those voices that's pretty unique, obviously very British
Yeah.
sounding, and you just kind of get sucked in to hear what he has to say.
And interesting content. I wonder why he decided
Yeah.
to write. I mean, the basic gist of the story is, I know you're probably going to go over some of the lyrics, is that, you know, as is in life, everything is not always as it seems. You know,
No.
these people are put up as heroes, just like in sports.
Yeah.
We put these people up as heroes, or even with your friends and family. Sometimes they're presenting one way, but the way
You're
they're
right.
really feeling is quite a different way. So he kind of builds up the movie star and then says kind of how they met their, you know, like
That's right, about Marilyn
Monroe.
That one in particular stood out to me. She could have been made of iron or steel, but she was only made of flesh and blood. He mentioned she wasn't very tough.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great point because, and even he mentions whenever you're kind of immortalized on Hollywood Boulevard, some you recognize some of these stars, some you hardly even heard of.
Yeah.
These people have worked, suffered, and struggled for fame. Some who succeeded, and unfortunately, some others suffered in vain.
And then the outro is great. Oh, celluloid heroes never feel any pain. Oh, celluloid heroes never really die.
Some more of that cheekiness, I
Yeah,
think, by
I wish
Ray
my
there.
life was a non-stop Hollywood movie show, a fantasy world of celluloid villains and heroes, because celluloid heroes never feel any pain and they never really die, which is true though in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
because
They
you
live
talked about
on.
you're really getting into like older classic movies and great performances. They live on. You're watching
That's
stuff
true.
like this, people have been passed away for years and years. I mean, you could say the same thing about vinyl. We could
No.
call this vinyl heroes.
You're right, man. It's
the
like
same thing.
We're sitting here in 2020 listening to the Kinks still,
Yeah.
man. The Kinks never die, man. So
Great song, man.
really,
Never heard. Great
really
song.
enjoyable, and that's one where I've never even some of these that I hadn't heard on here. I've at least heard the
Heard of
names.
them? Yeah, I never
these
even heard of
I
this.
didn't. So that's a great pick right there, Rich. Almost as good as your number 2 pick, which is my
'Cause we know
favorite.
this one.
My favorite Kink song that I know, "Sunny Afternoon" off of Face to Face. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to check out our track by track review of that, I really dig this entire.
Yeah, we'll
record,
throw that
man.
up on the end screen. You just click on it, you'll be there.
So, "Sunny Afternoon," man, 1966, Face to Face, again, written by Ray. He was homesick. This is one that reached number 1 in the UK.
Yeah.
Had a decent success in the US as well, going to number 14. Like its contemporary "Taxman" by the Beatles, the song references the high levels of tax that the lads had over in Britain. You had Nicky Hopkins, who
Yeah.
appears quite a bit on piano as well. Davies said of the song's lyrics, "The only way I could interpret how I felt was through a dusty, fallen aristocrat who had come from old money, as opposed to the wealth I had created for myself. In order to prevent the listener from sympathizing with the song's protagonist," Davies said, "I turned him into a scoundrel who fought with his girlfriend after a night of drunkenness."
Yeah, he wanted to make sure he wasn't too sympathetic of a figure. And you mentioned he wrote this while he was home sick. Just so you guys, he's at home ill. He's sick. He's not homesick for Britain.
Oh, yeah.
This
That's
is
true,
kind of
yeah.
against that. No, you said it right. I just want you guys to know, man, we come across as obviously the tax man, but we mention all the time, you got
Yeah.
Floyd, you got Zepp, you got the Stones. I mean, this progressive tax was up to 95%.
struggling, man.
As our boy George told us in Taxman.
All right, let's get rocking, man. Lovely song, one of my favorites from the 60s. "Sunny Afternoon," man. Y'all already know what I think of this track since I said it before, but just a wonderful tune, and
The instrumentation and just the tone of it really puts you in the summertime.
oh yeah, it really does. And again, just love some of these lyrics, man. You know, this poor bum here, man. Just he's getting squeezed. He can't even sail his yacht.
No, man,
poor
because
guy,
he's taking
man.
everything he's got, man. I can't believe it, man.
The tax man is taking all his dough. His girlfriend's run off with his car, telling tales of drunkenness and cruelty. And then this guy's just sitting at home, sipping his ice cold beer, which ties into that drunkenness.
It does, man.
So Ray did a great job of like kind of painting a character that you can't really stand, even though he's trying to come across as being sympathetic
Yeah,
and whatnot.
exactly.
It's all like, bro, you can't sell your yacht. There are people with that don't have homes, this or that. Your girlfriend's telling tales of drunkenness and cruelty that you presumably did to her. But man, that chorus is just fantastic. Lovely song, great melody. Love Nikki on the keys. So
Yeah, agreed.
great stuff. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're to number one. If I mentioned earlier that there was going to be another track from the Lola record, and it hasn't appeared yet, but it's appearing now. What do we got there? What's number one?
We got 8-Man, and remember Rich at the start of this thing said that this is going to cause a little bit of controversy probably. As you mentioned, from Lola versus Power Man, and The Money Go Round, Part 1, 1970. Written by Ray during a family trip to Cornwall in 1970. 5 in the UK. It was their last top 10 hit there.
Wow.
45 in the US. Basically, in the song, Ray's fed up with the modern world, declares that he wants to sail away to a distant shore and make like an 8-man. He also expresses how man created our problems, and given half a chance, he would leave the cities and traffic to live in the jungle. And I kind of get that sentiment now. We got another problem. This is the single after Lola.
Okay.
So this is the luck Ray is having, because we have a problem with the line in this one. The air pollution is a fogging up my eyes. I am going to enunciate, as you saw there, so well. The word a fogging sounded too much like a fill in the blank here with another F word. So Ray, once again, like he had to do with the Coca-Cola to Cherry Cola, had to fly back to London to re-record this line, dubbing over it with a more clear a fogging prior to the single release, causing a delay in the U.S. single to be released, but the album was already out.
Yeah.
So the record company, nobody knows these things until somebody starts listening to it real close when it's a single. So on the version we're going to play, it's at the 2-minute, 20-second mark. So I know our community, they're going to be following along to see. You can hear the word. I haven't listened to this song. I don't know this song.
There we go. I don't think I do either, man.
So see what you think it sounds like.
Let's get rocking.
Number one.
Number one, the 8-Man. Again, I was struck by not only the greatness of Ray's lyrics, fantastic use of keys throughout a lot of these songs, which isn't something I don't think a lot of people associate with the Kinks, but and great premise too.
Yeah, and we were saying it during the song, I'm an 8-man, I'm an 8-man, I'm an 8-man. That just sticks in your head. And yeah, wonderful idea behind it, which in 1970 was one thing, and in 2020 is probably even a greater desire of many of us as technology and everything else is taken over. And
I was going to say, very relatable.
Crowded out. Yeah, very relatable. So an interesting pick at number one, considering all the classics they have, but I think a good pick. And that's the thing with these lists. They're so difficult to do, and it's not what was the most popular song. It's in your world, what's your favorite?
Yeah, and I especially like the line, but with the overpopulation and inflation and starvation and the crazy politicians, I don't feel safe in this world no more. I don't want to die in a nuclear war. I want to sail away to a distant shore and make like an 8-man, especially with 2020's craziness. I mean,
yeah, that's passage you read is definitely stood out.
So great list here all the way around, Rich. Really was looking forward to doing this, and it did not disappoint. So we're going to give our top 3 songs. Before I do that, though, a couple things that just stood out to me. I think there was a couple things. Ray, just a wonderful songwriter. Yeah. Great lyricist. I think he doesn't get mentioned enough when you talk about great songwriters.
It changes the deliveries you mentioned. Being able to listen to it like on the Lola album, definitely a different delivery than he has. Yeah, on
you
some
got
other things.
You got the early, more punkier stuff. Then you get the classic, mid '60s, '70s stuff. Then we had the low budget, harder rock edge. Then
Come Dancing,
totally different. So I was impressed with that. I think he needs to be brought up more when you're talking about the great songwriters in rock and from this period. Dave Davies, I think, is probably underrated as a guitarist. I mentioned that a little bit earlier, but so many classic riffs. Maybe not the most technically crazy or proficient, but he does a great job making riffs and sounds that get stuck in your head and complement the song. And then just the Kinks in general, I think, are underrated. I know if you're watching this, you might not think because you're a big Kinks fan, but when I always say that, it's like, well, what are you talking about, Trey? They sold, a ridiculous
50 million records, but
think about it. How many people of your friends, your family, if we walked up to 100 people or 1,000 people on the street and said, name me 3 Kinks songs.
No, exactly.
How many people could do that? That's what I'm talking about.
especially here in the States.
Yeah.
Man, they just did not get their due. So I was going to echo that same thing. That the Kinks are vastly underrated.
So those are just a few
I think that's
of
great.
the things that just stuck out to me. Interesting going through these lists and the different stuff. But anyway, all that to say, my favorite 3 tracks. Number 1 is still going to be Sunny
I knew that was going to be there
for me. And then it's tough, man.
This list is very tough.
There's 4 or 5 that are kind of.
Yes.
I gotta go Waterloo Sunset.
Yeah.
I thought it was a beautiful track, and then just since I'm was kind of brought up a little bit in my formative years on punk a little bit, I gotta go with one of the first proto-punk hits. I gotta go with "You Really Got Me."
Great
Not it's probably not one of the top 3 technical musical songs on here. Doesn't have the best lyrics or anything, but just for me personally, that would be up there. And there were definitely a few others that were in big contention.
Yeah, my honorable mentions are actually "Sunny Afternoon"
There you go.
and "Low Budget." My choices are not going to be some sort of knockout choices. Surprising. I also got to go with Waterloo Sunset.
Beautiful.
I got to go with Lola. Those are predictable.
Beautiful.
And then I think actually my favorite song might have been "Celluloid Heroes."
Dude, that was a fantastic.
So, I don't know, but it's
fantastic
very difficult.
tune.
That's 5 of the 10 that I've got on my quote list. But,
And we didn't even mention the number 1, 8 Man, which I really enjoyed.
I really
as well.
enjoyed that too, man.
Honorable
And All
mention.
Day and All of the Nights. I mean, yeah,
You're
it's
right.
just-
Yeah,
it's,
this was one of the better lists I think
definitely.
we've listened to. I know it seems we say that after every list, but it's true, man. Rich,
It is.
Rich and our patrons bring the heat, man. If you'd like us to do a top 10 list, you can check out our Patreon link down below. Really appreciate it, Rich,
Yeah.
and to everybody watching. Give us your top 10 Kinks songs, and see how tough it is to narrow it down. Would love to see
sure.
your list here. And as always, Dad, appreciate
Oh,
the
yeah,
research.
so much fun.
Really fun one here today. But until next time, everybody, thanks for watching. Happy listening. And until next time, we will see you.